Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll give everyone a moment to join and we'll begin the session in 1 or 2 minutes. I see a lot of guests joining. We're excited to have you all this morning. So we'll give everyone just another minute as people uh, enter the room. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome and happy Friday, everyone. Today, this information we'll be covering is about the City of San Antonio Small Business Construction Grant Program. The application for this program opened this past Monday, and in this session, we'll cover information about the timeline of this program, the eligibility requirements, and the required documents that you'll need to submit an application. So this session is being offered in English and Spanish. If you prefer to listen in Spanish, you'll just need to click the world button at the bottom called interpretation and then select Spanish. And then you can pick mute original audio so that you don't hear both languages at once.
Buenos días. Para escuchar en español, por favor, oprime el botón que dice Interpretación. Cuando lo oprimes, por favor, selecciona Español y también oprime Mute Original Audio.
So my name is Lilian Spenley. I am the Director of Compliance and Grants Administration here at Lift Fund. If you've ever applied for a grant before at Lift Fund, you may have worked with me. I'm also delighted to introduce Margaret Toscano with the City of San Antonio. The city has been a longtime partner of small businesses within the city and Lift Fund through a number of support programs, including interest buy down for loans, grants, and business education resources. So Margaret, welcome and thank you for being here and for your partnership.
Yes, thank you for that introduction. I'm happy that the city gets to partner up with Lift Fund on this construction grant. As the city continues to improve, streets, sidewalks, drainage, we understand that this can hinder businesses during the construction period. Our hopes is that with this grant that it will help offset some of those challenges that businesses, may be facing. The city also has other programs that can assist businesses throughout the construction phase. And to learn about more about those, you can contact our small business office. We have business outreach specialists that are ready to assist you. And last but not least, I would like to thank Lift Fund for hosting this info session. And thank you for all those that are on the call that are here to learn more about this construction grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. So we'll get started right away. We'll go through what the program is and how it can help, and then go into those requirements that we discussed. This session will be recorded and available on the program website next week after the session concludes. The program website, it'll be at the bottom of every slide as we go through, but you're welcome to visit the site. As we discuss, it's COSA, C-O-S-A, Construction Grant 2024.com. And I'll put that website in the chat as well for easy access for you all. There we go. And we'll look at the website together at the end of this session so that you'll know where you can find all of this information after the session is over. So the city has allocated about 1.4 million in funding towards this program to assist businesses that are in those construction zones of city-funded projects that have been going on, that were active as of February of this year, and that have been going on for at least 12 months before that, and are in areas that affect at least 10 businesses. The grants can range from 5,000 to 35,000, and we'll discuss how that amount is calculated a little bit later on. The deadlines, so as I mentioned, the application opened on this past Monday, June 17th. It'll be open for a full month until July 15th, right at 5 p.m. I really want to emphasize the 5 p.m. deadline. So please make sure that you get your application in, before the very last minute of the deadline. And please note that it is 5 p.m. versus, midnight or 11:59 p.m. Once the application closes at 5, we will not accept any late applications. So very important to make sure you have that on your calendar. Then once the application period has closed, from July 23rd through mid-September, our team will be reviewing all of the applications that are received. And then beginning at the very end of July, we'll start sending out those first award notifications. Those will be received through a DocuSign email, and those will continue on until September 23rd. And we'll talk a little bit later about that time frame and the applications that are the scoring system for this program. And then lastly, the funding, the most important part. The first fundings will begin on August 6th and will continue until the very end of September. The grant, if received, can be used for most business-related expenses. So, a rent or mortgage payment, payroll costs, working capital, equipment, supplies, inventory, utility payments for a business location, regular business expenses. The amount, which, as that we said before, would be between 5,000 and 35,000, will depend on the loss in your net profit or loss or net income between 2023 and 2022. So it will be, if you had a decrease in net profit or loss in those years of, let's say, $10,000, then your grant amount would be $10,000 up to a max of $35,000. The applications will have a number of eligibility factors that we will verify using the documentation that you'll be asked to submit. You must be a retail or service business that requires customers coming into your location for sales or operations. Your gross sales in 2022 must be at least $10,000. So I want to make sure that we're all aware that for the eligibility, we're looking at a minimum of gross sales in 2022 of 10,000, but then we'll also need to see a loss or decrease of at least 5,000 in net profit or loss from 2022 to 2023. So 2023 must be at least 5,000 less than 2022. You have to have been operating and owning the business since before January 1, 2022. And you have to currently be in operation, so you can't have shut down. And then, not have filed for bankruptcy at the time when you apply for the application, and be in good standing with the Texas Comptroller's Office, so you have an active status with them. Additionally, you need to be in one of the eligible construction zones and plan to stay there for at least a year once the funds are received. you'll need to meet the SBA size standard for small businesses. And we have a tool on the website where you can look up your business industry and see what the size standard is there, so you'll know whether you meet it. You need to be the majority owner of the business to be the one who applies, or at least an equal share. If you're split, 50-50% with a partner, then either of you would be able to apply. Ineligible industries include nonprofits, franchisors, gambling, sexually oriented businesses, payday and auto loan providers, liquor, tobacco, CBD vape shops, and then businesses, if you're a city employee and you have a financial interest. I'll just clarify here for franchisors, this only means that you're the one who owns the entire franchise, and so you're the head of McDonald's, for example. If you own personally one local McDonald's location, that's okay. In terms of the documents that we'll need your current driver's license or any other government issued photo ID. So this can be your passport, it could be a matricula, any government issued photo ID as long as it's current. So definitely be sure to take out your ID right now, take a look at it, make sure that it's not about to expire in the next week or two. And if it is, go ahead and begin that renewal process. We'll need proof of your business registration, either with the Secretary of State if you're an LLC or a corporation, or a DBA or assumed name certificate with Bexar County if you're a sole proprietor. We'll need to verify the number of employees that you have, and that will be through either your first quarter of this year Form 941 filed, or a payroll report, whatever payroll system that you use, a report from there. We'll need to verify your address through a business utility bill. So this could be water, gas, or electric. Or if you don't receive a utility bill, we can take a copy of your lease as long as it's current and hasn't expired. Or even if you receive a monthly rental invoice from your landlord, we can take that. We'll need to see 2 years of the tax returns to verify those losses. So we'll need your 2023 and 2022 filed business tax returns. So if you've filed an extension with your CPA or accountant, definitely get with them right away to make sure that that 23 return will be filed before the application deadline on July 15th. We'll need your most recent business bank statement to verify that you are currently operating. And then lastly, if you're an LLC or corporation or partnership, we'll also ask you to submit a grant resolution, which is just a one-page document that states that the company and the partners are aware that you are applying for this grant on the company's behalf, and that you understand the tax implications and so forth should you be awarded. LiveFund will provide that template in the application, so it's not something that you have to create on your own. The scoring system is based on 5 different categories. Each of those categories has a maximum score of 20 points. The total maximum score is 100, and we'll be reviewing once all of the applications are received after July 15th. We'll review this applications with the highest score first, and then we'll work our way on down as long as there are funds remaining in the program. So those 5 categories are the duration of the construction project that's in the area where your business is located. The longer that construction has been going on, the more points you would receive in this category. The prior assistance received, so specifically we'll be looking at if you received the construction grant that the city and LiveFund offered last year, or if you received the construction supplement in the COVID-related grant that was offered by the city in 2022. So if you received either of those grants or the supplements, you would receive a lower score in this category. Next, we'll be looking at the net loss. So the higher your net profit or loss, the greater the points in this category that you would receive. And then time in business relative to the duration of the construction project. So the longer your business was operating before the start of when the construction happened, the more points you would receive in this category. And then lastly, the income score on the Equity Atlas, and that's a map that the city has created through research, and it's based on the average income in the different neighborhoods around the city. And so the higher your score on that map, the greater the points in this category you would receive. The application can be found online at the website, which again is COSA Construction Grant 2024.com. It typically takes about 30 minutes to an hour to complete. You can make that process easier by gathering all of the required documents before you get started, but you certainly have the ability to begin the application, save your work, jump out of the application and come back later, as long as it's completed fully before that July 15th at 5 p.m. deadline. You will need to have a complete application, including all of the required documents in order to be able to submit. The application won't let you submit unless the application is fully complete. If you have any questions, our LIFT Funds grant team is available to help. Our grant phone line is 800-923-9551, or you can email our team at sbgrants@liftfund.com, and we typically respond within 24 business hours. So we try to assist everyone as quickly as possible. Some other resources I'll just mention that LIFT Fund offers. We have our loan programs, which you can find out more about at liftfund.com/loan offerings. We have our Business Resource Hub, which offers tons of free classes all the time, both in person and online, as well as one-on-one consulting and business advising with an advisor. You can find out all of our upcoming classes at liftfund.com/events, or learn more about what is offered through the Business Resource Hub at liftfund.com/business-support. As I mentioned, all of the information can be found on the website, so we'll go there right now, and I'll just show where all of these pieces are. Once you get to the website, which again, that's COSA Construction Grant 2024.com. The website is available in Spanish as well as English by clicking the Español button. You'll have a summary here at the top of the website. You'll find the button to reach the application portal here, as well as the link to check if your address is eligible within one of those qualified construction zones. Again, more of a summary of what the funds can be used for should you be approved. You'll have those eligibility requirements listed here. You'll see that tool for looking up your industry to see if you meet the SBA size standard. The size standards are based specifically on your NAICS code. That's the business activity code. That's a 6-digit number, and that's on your tax return. So if you're not sure what your NAICS code is, pull up your most recent tax return and see what it is. We have in the application a guide on where to find that code on your tax return if you're not sure where to find it. Then again, we've got those eligible construction zones, and you'll be able to see here a list of a general description of the areas that are considered construction zones for this program, as well as how long the construction has been going on, in those particular zones. This is just a general description of these areas to give you a rough guide. So it's very important to look up your address in those address lookup tools that you'll find right here. It's a very simple tool. You'll just enter your address, click submit, and it'll let you know if you're eligible or not. Then you'll see those list of those prohibited activities. Again, that's sexually oriented businesses, liquor stores, auto loan providers. And that's, again, based on that NAICS or business activity code. And you'll see that full list of those codes here. So as long as your business does not fall into one of these industries, you would meet the eligibility in terms of industry. Next, you'll have that list of those required documents. You'll have full details on that scoring system that we discussed. And you'll see here the breakdown of, if my construction has been going on for this long, I received this many points, and so on for each category. You can also find a link here to the income score map through the city's website. And once you get to this page, you'll want to be sure to click on just the income score section, and you can enter your business address here to determine what your score would be in this category. We're not considering any of the scores in these other tabs, so the only one that is being assessed is that income score. Go back. The next, you'll have the important dates, that program timeline. As I mentioned, the applications are reviewed in order of the highest scoring applications, followed by those lower scoring ones. So within each of these time frames, you will the highest scoring applicants will be, notified, reviewed, and funded first, followed by the lower scoring applications. So if you don't hear from us right on, July 30, that process or that phase of the application of the program continues all the way on until mid to late September. So don't worry if you don't hear from us on the first day of any of these programs or phases. In terms of grant follow-up, if you are selected for funding, you will be required to complete a follow-up survey in April 2025 and April 2026. This is a way to report back on how those funds were used and to let us and the city know what your challenges are at that point in time and see what resources and support you may need, as time goes on and as your business thrives and recovers. Some additional resources here, as Margaret mentioned, the city does have some business resources, support resources, and you can reach out to their department with this phone number or email. We also have, if you need assistance with utilities, the CPS and SAWS utility assistance links, as well as a number of other grants that are not run by Lift Fund or the city, but may be helpful to you depending on your industry and what type of business you have. This was the second info session. You can already review the recording and the slides of the info session that we held last week online. And as I mentioned, we will have the recording from today's session here over the next few days next week. We have as well some frequently asked questions, and I'll run through these quickly, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. Please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A, and we'll answer those as we go. So, sole proprietors, we get asked this all the time. Sole proprietors are eligible as long as you have that filed assumed name certificate or DBA, and you meet all of the other eligibility requirements for this program. If your business is located outside the city, but you serve customers inside the city, unfortunately, you are not eligible. Your business location must physically be located within one of those qualified construction zones. If you have two businesses, you can absolutely submit an application for both of them, as long as they're both within construction zones and meet all of the eligibility requirements. And they must be through separate, you must have separate formation documents and financials for each of them so that we're able to isolate those financials and determine, that they meet the losses and for the net and the minimum gross requirements. You can get help with the application from, a friend or an accountant or CPA. However, we know that there's been a lot of suspicious actors out there that have offered a help or guaranteed success on grant applications if you pay them a fee. Please know that there are no parties out there that LiftFund or the city have vetted to assist you for a fee. So if anyone is asking you to pay them to help fill out the application, please don't work with them. That is not someone who's been trained on this grant program. This is a grant, so if you're selected, you do not have to pay the grant back as long as you comply with all of the award terms for accepting the grant. If you have on some of your documentation an old address, perhaps when you applied, registered the business 10 years ago, you were at a different location, and today you're at another address, that's no problem. That's why we're going to request your most recent utility bill or lease to verify that your current address is the one being considered. Or if you don't receive a utility bill, maybe all of your utilities are included in the in your lease. Again, not a problem. We can definitely take a copy of your lease or your monthly rental invoice, as long as we can verify that it's got your name or the business name on the top, so that we know that it is you at that location. If you've already received a grant from LiftFund or the city in the past, you are still eligible for this program. Only if you've received the construction grant or construction supplement in 2022 or 2023 will that affect your score, but you're certainly still eligible for consideration. And then lastly, this grant is taxable. So if you are selected, you will receive a 1099 next January. So very important, if you are selected, to just talk that over with your bookkeeper or accountant to understand how that will need to be reported next year. We have a number of questions, so let me take a look here. Let's see. There is a question. I want to know if there is oh, okay, I see. We do not have, okay, let's see. There's a question on what interpretation services we have on this call. We have a Spanish language interpretation. I see. There's a question, will there be any upcoming grants for newer businesses in these construction zones that may have opened after January 1, 2022? I would definitely recommend reaching out to the city's support line, for information on other possible resources if you're not eligible for this program. There are, for those that would like to see this presentation in written form, we will have the slides available after this call next week on the website to review. And I'll just share that here in the chat as well. Okay. Yes, so we have some questions on, I don't receive a lease or a monthly rental invoice for any type of business for that business verification. Presumably you're paying the landlord some kind of fees on a monthly or annual basis. So any documentation that you have that again shows your name or the business name and that address where your business sets up. You know, we can use that as evidence of the address. Okay. It looks like, thank you. There's someone who let us know that when they're using the check address tool, that it's showing it's pre-filling a different address and not allowing you to refresh or enter your own address. So thank you for letting us know, and we'll get that resolved right away. The construction areas, some questions on what are those construction zones. I'll pull that list up again here. So those are listed right here. There are 8 construction zones, and I'll leave that slide up for folks to review. Uh, 501c3s or nonprofits are not eligible for this program. This is intended only for for-profit small businesses. Yes, so clarifying on the loss of income requirement, the 2023 net profit or loss needs to be at least 5,000 less than the net profit or loss in 2022. And as you complete the application, we'll have a guide within the application for which line on your tax return to look at to make sure that you're putting in that right number. And what I'll do here is put in, I'm going to try and get the other, a link to that lookup tool that's going to work. Give me just a second for that. And I apologize for that error. And thank you all for letting me know. Let's see if we have other questions as well. Okay. Here we go. I'll place in the chat the link, and there we go. So you are able to, oh, let me place that for everyone. Here we go. You can go to this site. It will ask you to create an account. All you'll need to do is put in your email and create a password of your choosing, and you'll be able to look up the address there. Let's see, we've got a few more questions. Yes, so for each of these zones, it is, you know, just the street that's mentioned, and you'll be able to verify your specific address using that lookup tool. Great, thank you. Someone confirming that once they created the account, they were able to use the lookup tool. But we'll certainly work on correcting that link so that it is accessible even without creating an account. There's a question. Oh, let's see. Oh, lots more questions coming in. Great. Yes, some more questions on what documents can be provided for the address verification. Any document that you get, whether it's a weekly fee from the landlord or a monthly fee, as long as it's got the address and your name or business name on there, we can use that. We just need anything to verify that you are operating at the stated address. For the financials, there's a question on what years are being considered. So for the eligibility requirement relating to the minimum gross sales of 10,000, we're only looking at 2022. For the eligibility requirement relating to the losses, we are comparing 2022 to 2023. There's a question related to, maybe having multiple businesses under an umbrella of one formation document. We would need to see separate formation documents and separate tax returns for each of those businesses. So that would be required in order to consider each of those separate businesses. Let's see. We'll stay as long as there are still questions, but if you've had your questions answered, thank you for joining the session today. Good luck in applying, and we welcome you to reach out to our grant team at any point. Again, that information or our contact information is 800-923-9551 or sbgrants@liftfund.com. We'll stay on and continue to answer questions though, but have a great weekend. Good luck, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you need any assistance. Thank you, Margaret, again for being with us and for working your work with the city to make these types of programs possible. And again, if you think of any other questions after this session is finished, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at 800-923-9551 or sbgrants@liftfund.com. And many of the questions or answers that you may have are on the website here at COSA constructiongrant2024.com. And Margaret, we have a question directly for you, so I can connect you maybe after this session with the person inquiring.
Okay.
Right. Well, I don't see any other questions, but thank you all again for being here today. We'll have the recordings from this session on the website next week, and wish you all a great day and a great weekend.